This is the Leatherman Super Tool 300. This is a heavy-duty multi-tool with a unique feature of having removable wire cutters. This is a good feature if you use your wire cutters quite a bit and you damage them from time to time. You don't want to necessarily have to replace your entire multi-tool if you ding up your wire cutters. So it's pretty nice that you can replace that. In this review, I'm going to compare this Leatherman Super Tool 300 directly with the Leatherman Surge, which is the two tools that I considered when looking for a heavy-duty multi-tool. Before we get started, just to be fair, the Super Tool 300 is about $50, where the Leatherman Surge is about $70. So this tool is $20 more expensive. So keep that in mind as we do the side-by-side comparison. If this tool will satisfy your needs with the different features that you want, then go with this tool. It's lighter weight, only weighing 9.6 ounces versus the Surge, which weighs 12.5 ounces, which is quite a bit. When closed, both these tools are 4.5 inches long. However, the Leatherman Surge is a little bit thicker, so it takes up just a little bit more pocket real estate. The Leatherman Surge is also 12.5 ounces versus the 9.6 ounces on the Super Tool 300. So quite a bit heavier. If you don't need all the features of the Leatherman Surge and your weight's a consideration, such as backpacking, or you're carrying around a lot of other tools already, the Super Tool 300 might be a great heavy-duty multi-tool for you. While these tools are closed, one of the biggest differences between the tools becomes pretty apparent. The Surge has 4 outside easily accessible tools. You have the serrated blade, you have the saw or file, which is interchangeable. Talk about that in my dedicated Surge review. You have your straight blade, which is really a nice shape. And you have your scissors, which I'm really glad they put these on the outside. That's kind of a nice location for scissors. Super Tool 300 does not have any tool accessible on the outside, except for the pliers, which you have to open up, but you know, that's just like any Leatherman. One of the things I do like about the Super Tool 300 is the edges are rounded on the outside. So once you do have the feature that you want pulled out, it's really pretty comfortable in hand to hold. There's no sharp edges to dig into your hand as you're doing heavy-duty tasks. The same cannot be said about the Surge. While it's relatively comfortable, there are definitely some sharp edges that cut into the hand when you're doing heavy-duty tasks. This might be a better tool for a tradesman who needs some of the extra features and one-handed capabilities and may have gloves on when he's using the tool. The gloves would definitely make it more comfortable to use. Just something to think about. Another thing that might make this better for a tradesman is that a pocket clip this does not come with the tool, but you can attach a pocket clip, which makes it easily accessible. The Super Tool 300 does not have pocket clip capability. However, it would still be great for being in a toolbox or a backpacking tool. I mean, there's still a lot of great uses for this tool without the pocket clip. Let's go ahead and open these things up. And the pliers, as we talked about earlier, are probably the Super Tool 300's strongest feature. However, that being said, Super Tool 300 is going to be for heavy duty tasks. You can see the tips are really squared off and very angular, which is great for heavy duty tasks, but maybe not so good for the finer detail type work. You'll see the tip on the Super Tool the Surge has a more rounded needle nose type tip, and this is better for the detail type tasks. These pliers are also very rugged. I've used them pretty roughly, and they've held up pretty well. So unless you're really using the wire cutters on hardened wire, hog wire, barbed wire fences, nails, the wire cutters on the Surge will probably serve your needs. The Super Tool 300 definitely has the better wire cutters. Let's go to the second most used feature on a Leatherman, and that's going to be the knife blade. You saw the knife blade on the Surge a minute ago, and I want to do a quick comparison for you. They're about the same length. The Super Tool 300 has a knife length of 3.2 inches, where the Leatherman Surge has a knife length of 3.1 inches. In my book, that's a toss-up. That's an equal knife blade length. However, you'll notice the knife shapes are very different. I do like the Surge blade shape better than the Super Tool 300 blade shape. Also, you'll notice when you're cutting with the Super Tool 300 on a flat surface, you have to kind of rock the blade downward because it's not flush with the bottom of the knife. And that means that on a flat surface, you're only using this part of the blade. Where on the Leatherman, you can see, I'm off the screen there, you can see when you put it flat on a table, you're using almost the entire length of the blade. So for cutting things on a flat surface, like a cutting board or a table or another surface, the Surge is really a better design of a knife. The penknife style of the Super Tool 300 is a good design. It would just be nicer if it was on the bottom side of the knife. But that's just the way this knife was put together. Those are the biggest differences between the Super Tool 300 and the Leatherman Surge. I'm going to go ahead and take the Surge out of the picture so we can do a more thorough review of the Super Tool 300. I have another video on the Leatherman Surge if you are interested. First and foremost is the knife blade, which is a pretty good knife blade. It's 3.2 inches long, which is really quite long. That's one of the nice things you get with a heavy-duty multi-tool. It's a nice long knife blade and nice long tools, frankly. But it's 420 HC steel, nice high-quality knife steel for your multi-tool. On the side, you also have a good sized flathead screwdriver. Nice chisel grind on it. I like that screwdriver. It's pretty broad. You have a couple other ones if you need a smaller one, but you can always use this thing as a chisel. It's really robust. Here's another flathead screwdriver, and that's the one I like to use for actual chisel type work. It has a nice fat chisel. I mean, it's not even a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, it's a chisel. And on the side you also have an awl, which that's awesome. A lot of the multi-tools don't have an awl, and this is a really beefy one. You can really get a lot of good work done with this thing. Nice point on it. Little needle hole there. I mean, that's a nice, well-designed awl by Leatherman. And then you also have a file. And I'm going to be honest, you've probably seen some of my other reviews. I'm not a big fan of files on multi-tools. It seems like a waste of space. I'm sure some people use files all the time and they're very happy to have them on a multi-tool. For me, in my mileage, I just haven't really needed to use a file much in the outdoor type tasks that I typically use a multi-tool. So it does have a pretty good file, nice and long. Got fine on one side, or coarse on the other side. So you do have the file if you use a file. So that's what's on that side. Let's go on to the other side and take a look over there. Again, something I've criticized this tool for, none of the tools are accessible from the outside. You have to open the tool up and access all the tools from the inside, and that's kind of the old school Leatherman design. It works. It's not quite as elegant as some of the newer ones, but it is a functional multi-tool. Over here we have your serrated edge blade, which I have to really commend Leatherman. They do a really good job giving you a full serrated edge blade and a full plain blade. They don't waste their time with the combo edge, which I think is kind of worthless. I really like having a completely serrated blade or a completely straight blade. So big win there. This is a great knife for cutting rough tasks such as cutting rope or just, you know, processing, packaging, or anything that you're just trying to really cut through a lot of material quickly. Not the best for detail work, but you also have your straight blade for that. Also on the side, you got the standard Leatherman can opener. This is the same can opener that is on every single Leatherman. It works reasonably well. I like the Victorinox one too. I don't really have a problem with this one. It does a lot of things pretty well. It's not the perfect can opener design probably, but it served pretty well. I've used them quite a bit over the years. And Phillips screwdriver. Now let's talk about this Phillips screwdriver real quick, because I actually like this Phillips screwdriver. See how long that shaft is? That works really good for when you're in a tight area and you don't have room for the width of your tool. It really gets up in there and gives you a little reach, which I like a lot. Also, it's a three-dimensional bit, just like a normal screwdriver, instead of the two-dimensional bits that Leatherman's using on a lot of their new tools like the Leatherman Surge or Leatherman Wave. So I actually like that a lot. I think it works better on Phillips screwdriver heads, and I'm glad they include the real Phillips bit in this one instead of the flat one like on the Surge or Wave. And also on the side, sorry if I'm getting off screen there, you have a small screwdriver, which I'm not going to talk much about, but you have three different flathead screwdrivers on this knife. I kind of wish they would have put a saw, or not saw, a set of scissors in instead of three flathead screwdrivers, but you get three flathead screwdrivers, so if you use those a lot, you know, this is a great tool for you. Here's the saw. This is a good saw. It is about 3.2, 3.3 inches long. That's a really long saw. It's got Leatherman's great razor style edge on there. I mean, that's a good saw. This thing rips through wood very quickly. And you know, actually, let me grab the Surge real quick, since that was the last of the tools on the Super Tool 300. This is a good opportunity to compare saws. With one of the things I don't like about the Surge so much is you have this interchangeable saw file, and it really shortens the usable saw length, and I much prefer the longer saw on the Super Tool 300. Now I need to answer the question that you guys probably clicked this video to see. Which tool should I buy? Which tool is best for my use? And not knowing you personally, that might be a difficult question to answer, but let me try and steer you in the right direction. If you cut a lot of wire, hardened wire, I would definitely recommend the Super Tool 300. Also, if you're looking for a heavy duty super tool that you're not going to use that much, say in an emergency kit for your car, or maybe a tool for the bottom of your backpack when you go backpacking, I would definitely recommend the Super Tool 300. It is lighter weight, weighing in at 9.6 ounces versus the 12.5 ounces of the Surge. So backpacking is going to be lighter to carry, and it's less expensive. At $50, you're spending less money for many of the same capabilities that the Leatherman Surge gives you. So for a tool that's not frequently used, some of the less convenient features, like not having tools on the outside of the multi-tool like the Surge, are less of a factor. You have the same materials in both of these, the 420 HC steel on the blades, and they're roughly the same size when closed. So I would definitely use the Super Tool 300 for a car kit, a backpack, maybe even a toolbox if you're not carrying it with you every day. This is a great tool. Now, if you were to tell me that you're carrying this knife every single day, maybe you're a tradesman or you're an avid outdoorsman and you're out making traps all the time just because that's what you're doing, now I say the Leatherman Surge is definitely the way to go. With the included pocket clip, it's very easy to carry, even with the 12.5 ounces. It carries quite nicely. Oh, the pocket clip is sold separately, but they're pretty cheap on Amazon.com. You can get them for like $4 or $5, but that's besides the point. and with the tools accessible on the outside, if you use the tool frequently, I think that's a feature that you're really going to grow fond of and appreciate having. Also, you have a pair of scissors on here, which can be really nice if you're doing a lot of finer detail type work. This is great for cutting small cordage, string, detail work like that. So the scissors on the outside are a big win on the Surge. It is heavier and is also more expensive, but if you're using it every single day, day in, day out, the Surge is probably the way to go if you're in the market for a heavy-duty multi-tool. This has been my review on the Super Tool 300. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos.